Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. This brother Mike, how you guys doing? Shabbat shalom on this beautiful Sabbath. The Sabbath is supposed to be a beautiful day. Most High willing, I'll be traveling to New York for my uncle and aunt having a men's panel, a conference, and they selected me to be one of the speakers. So most High willing, I'll be up there, one of the panelists. I'll be up there discussing it. But today, man, I want to talk about a real serious issue. I had a different lesson prepared for the day, but the developments of what I seen yesterday, it hit my spirit to um, talk about this today. You know what I'm saying? And I saw a situation going with brother Kevin Hines and his girlfriend. I guess the sister name is Rhonda. And I saw people comment and people making emojis, jokes, and everything seemed funny and things of that nature. But I took the time to listen to both people talk, man, and listening to both people give their sides of the story. You know what I mean? And what it came to my conclusion was that um it's a tough situation called due to trauma bonding, man. And trauma bonding is a very serious situation that's in our community. So when I look at these two, this young man and this young lady, I see a lot of pain. I see a lot of hurt. I see a lot of things they went through just listening to both of their sides of the story. I'm listening to the young lady say that, yeah, I know I kept taking them back and this and that, and I know I'm stupid. No, you're not stupid, young lady. You hurt. You've been through a lot. And that comes with it. And I'm looking at him and the way he's moving and things of that nature, and people saying he's scamming and doing this and doing that. All that stuff comes from not trust, not having trust. You know what I'm saying? And it'd be interesting if we took both of these people and sat them down and took them back to their childhood and asked them how they was raised, and if they was truthful, there'll probably be some dysfunction, man, because that's what draws you to that other person. That's what brings everything out. The things that happen when you're young, man. You know what I'm saying? I went through a lot of things, and not having a father there, having a mom that was like overly strict and this and that, and that it helps affects your relationships as you get older. And it comes from trauma bonding, man. That's what happens. Like, I knew Cav for a while, not personal relationship. I used to be a mentor to his brother, so I seen him growing up and things of that nature. And then once he got an adult, he went through a lot of different things. You know what I'm saying? But one thing that I never hear him talk about is um I'm going home to my mom. I'm going home to my dad. You know what I'm saying? That parental support is needed no matter how old you are, man. When I went through my situation, man, I was able to go to my mom's house for a while I got my head together. I was able to stay there for a few months while the whole situation was going on until I was able to go back on my feet. I'm 51 years old right now. My mom, I still have a key to my mom's house. My mom still has um a bed for me. My mom always has at least a two-bedroom, and she lets it be known this is a place for my daughter and my son to always come, no matter how old they are. Everybody don't have that, man. Everybody don't grow up with that kind of situation going on. Everybody is not blessed to have that. So when you don't have that, it it puts you in a survival mode for you to just do what you got to do to make it to the next day. So while people want to laugh and joke, and you had a comedian guy on, and of course he's gonna have some funny skits or this or that. When the smoke clears, man, we're dealing with two people that's hurt. That really needs some help. So when we are looking at this situation, we got to stop looking at everything with eyes of looking at people saying, why are they doing this? What's wrong with them? And start looking at it with what happened to them. What happened to these people to get them to the point to be behaving like this and to be accepting this kind of behavior from each other. And one thing he said that was interesting was we can't really be pointing the finger, because when you think about it, in our community, a lot of trauma bonding is the reason why we have a lot of single parents. You trauma bonding, the dude and the chick trauma bonding. They both was out drinking. You know what I'm saying? Trying to chase away the trauma. They go home, they get it in, they create a baby. Then they realize that I don't really like this person. It was just the trauma that brought us together. Then they go to the next person. Next thing you know, you didn't trauma bonded with 4 different girls. Now you got 4 different babies. And then those kids grow up with the same trauma, then it carries on and on and on. So when you look at these situations, we got to look at it from that sense of understanding, instead of thinking everything funny and laughing and looking at it, because many times we want to look at them to deflect our own trauma. We want to laugh about this to deflect our own trauma. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm listening to this young lady talking, she's talking about um, all this stuff is happening to me, and I just kept going through it. No, I'm stupid. I'm stupid. I know y'all think I'm stupid. No, you're not stupid, sis. You've been conditioned to be like that. Sometimes there's so much dysfunction that's going on around us, so much dysfunction that's going up in the way we raised. A normal, healthy relationship is scary. So we're going to go to what we go to. We're going to go to what's familiar. If it's too much regular stuff going on around the house, too much positivity is boring. Because we are used to the dysfunction. We're used to the dysfunction, man. So I'm going to go over some scriptures and stuff and talk about this a little bit. You know what I mean? And this is coming from a place of love, man. Because at the end of the day, I see a brother and sister that's from our community that's wounded, man. And we ain't supposed to shoot out wounded, man. Now, the situation with him being in the lady house, I know for a fact the law is going to work that out. You know what I'm saying? And Godspeed, that'll work that out. You get what I'm saying? And I don't think that you're supposed to like get one person kicked out the house and the other person stay there. You know what I'm saying? And that goes vice versa, because I've seen many times women do the same thing. And I think that it would have been less looked at as a villain if that was a woman that did that. But that's not the society we live in, so we can't act like we live in that society. But at the end of the day, we got to figure out some solutions to try to help these 2 individuals, instead of just looking at it, thinking it's a game. Because if the help is not there, guess what? The next relationship they're going to get in is most likely going to be another trauma bonded relationship. And the same thing keeps going on and on and on until we get some help, until we get God involved, until our heart changes for Christ, man. That's what changes the trauma bonding. Other than that, it just keeps going on and on and on and on. So when you ask young ladies or you ask men, and they keep complaining about certain kind of people that they attract, certain kind of people that they're around, and you ask them, why are you attracting this person? Why are you attracted to these kind of men or women? Most likely it's trauma bonding. And those familiar spirits being attracting to each other. That's what it comes from, man. So let's do some research and just read about this and see where it takes us. It says how dysfunctional upbringing can lead to trauma bonded relationships between men and women. Many unhealthy relationships begin between 2 people. Many healthy relationships begin long before 2 people meet. A childhood marked by abuse, neglect, abandonment, addiction, violence, or absence of godly parents can distort a person's understanding of love, trust, and security. Without healing through Christ, people often mistake emotional chaos for love and become trapped in destructive relationships. First scripture, Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way to go. When he is old, he will not depart from it. So if we had the foundation of our parents being what God intended them to be, and raised us up in a way to go, then that would deter us from wanting to be in these trauma bonded relationships. But since most of our parents, like my parents, they was young, they I don't think it was trauma bonded. It could have been, I don't know. But they created me at 16 years old. They wasn't equipped to raise me properly through God. They wasn't married. It started with fornication. So once it started with sin from the fornication, we already know where we going with this, man. Because we looking for the dopamine to try to escape what we dealing with. And sex is a hell of a dopamine. So that sinful act in the beginning takes us to the point to where we thinking that we really into that person. No, it's the trauma bonding, and it's the flesh. The flesh is attracted to each other, and the flesh wants more and more and more and more, not understanding we're digging a deeper hole. What is trauma bonding? Trauma bonding is a strong emotional attachment that develops through repeated cycles of abuse, fear, manipulation, and temporary affection. Instead of leaving, the victim becomes emotionally attached to the very person causing the pain. Now, how many of us been through this kind of situation? And you ask yourself, why isn't this person leaving? Why isn't this person doing this? Why isn't this person doing that? Why is this guy putting up with this? Why is the girl putting up with this? I listened to both of them talk yesterday, man, and both of them said that they couldn't leave each other alone. They kept going back to each other. They trauma bonding, man. And this is not a knock. This is real, man. And people need to understand how real this is. And instead of looking at them, pointing a finger, laughing, evaluate your own situation and ask yourself, am I in this situation because of trauma bonding? Do I got 3 or 4 baby dads because I trauma bond? Do I got 3 or 4 baby moms because I was trauma bonding? How can I break the cycle so my kids don't grow up and start having trauma bonded relationships? The world says toxic, toxic, toxic. But where do the toxicity come from? It comes from trauma bonding. So instead of looking at them from a sense of shaming them and pointing at them and laughing at them and calling them stupid, look at them from a sense of, yo, how can we help? How can we encourage them to get help? You get what I'm saying? Because that's where it needs to go to. We need to encourage them to get help, because now they could then become examples for other people that's in trauma bonded relationships to get help. Because when you look at most of the relationships that we see around us, it probably started from trauma bonding also. I see this young lady crying, man. Talking about, I don't know why I kept putting up with it. I don't know why I was doing this. I don't know why I was doing that. And people say, oh, she's stupid. No. It becomes normal. When you grow up with some trauma, it becomes normal for you to be in those kind of relationships. It's scary. It's scary for some normalcy. It's scary for somebody to treat you good. It's scary for all of that because your trust was broken when you was younger, man. So it's hard for you to really trust somebody who really might be trying to love you. So you go for what you're familiar with. I'm going to pick me a guy that I know is going to be messing up because that's what I'm familiar with. I'm scared to get hurt. So if I run into somebody that's not trying to trauma bond with me and they trying to get me in a healthy relationship, I'm going to self-sabotage that joint because I'm really scared because this person might be really trying to set me up for a big letdown. That's what all of this stems from. Trauma bonding, man. Trauma bond relationships. Let's go through that pattern again. It says the pattern is abuse, apology, temporary kindness, false hope, and more abuse. So that's what usually happens. I'm going to abuse you. I apologize. Temporary kindness. I'm going to give you false hope. And then I'm going to abuse you again. And when you listen to both of them talk, both of them said that each person was guilty of that. Both of them said that each person was guilty of that. I've been guilty of that in my relationships. Most people that's listening to this probably was guilty of that in their relationships. Especially if we grew up in inner cities with single parents and this and that. We that's what we went through, man. So we got to understand that and have some grace and some mercy and understand why a person acts the way that they act. Me working in the field, I'm working and I understand that. So I go in and I always take it back to, how was you raised? What did you go through growing up? What did you see? Because we got to connect those dots. We got to connect these pieces together so we can understand, where did this start at? So when I had a wife that was all affectionate and loving me and this and that, I couldn't handle it because I was traumatized. I couldn't handle her love and affection, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. I just made the video talking about that when I was in that podcast. What was wrong with me? I didn't know. Why do I feel the way I feel? Because of the trauma. So I would go out and I'll chase another woman and I'll chase another woman. And then once I felt like I conquered them and they was all in love with me, I'll sabotage it. Because the trauma didn't allow me, I didn't know how to get past the trauma, not only to receive the love, but also to give it out. Because my father wasn't there, so it gave me trust issues. I can't let you get that trust that close to me, because you're going to let me down too. I can't let my guard down. So then you go out, you find somebody that's suffering through the same thing or the same type of thing. Y'all sit down and have a conversation, and the first thing out your mouth is, yeah, he or she understands me. And it goes back to the trauma bonding. That's what happens. So it says, growing up, the dysfunctional home produced this dysfunctional expectation. A child learns what loves look like by watching the adults around them. Examples include alcoholic parents, domestic violence, emotional neglect, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, parents constantly fighting, absence of affection, favoritism, fatherlessness, mother abandonment. And I guarantee you, if I talk to these two, this young lady and this young man, and we go over this list, I guarantee you that they'll check some of these joints off. Because I'd check some of these joints off in my growing up and listening to them talk. I guarantee you they'll check some of these things off. Alcoholic parents, domestic violence, emotional neglect, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, parents constantly fighting, absence of affection, favoritism, fatherlessness, and mother abandonment. Imagine if your mother wasn't in your life. Like we didn't got so immune to fathers being there, but imagine if your mother wasn't in your life. Imagine if your mom had too much stuff going on. The one that's supposed to nourish you, the nurture you, the one that's supposed to be there, the one that mostly people talk about, even when you see people that gets in trouble in jail and this and that. And I'm going to say from my own situation, one of the only people that I knew rocked with me when I went through that situation was my mom. Because for a man, and I don't want no females to take this the wrong way, the only woman in your life that's going to love you totally unconditional is supposed to be your mom. Because when you get into relationships, conditions come with the relationship. If you're not having no job and you're not producing and you're not being there to be a protector and this and that, the love from that woman is going to change. The only woman that's going to love you unconditionally is your mom. So if you don't have that, you're going to be broken. And it's going to be no female that's ever going to be able to make you whole. But guess what you're going to do? You're going to chase those broken females because that's what you're familiar with. The other kind of female is going to scare you. So then that's how the trauma relationships go. And it's vice versa with the females and their fathers. Like, I don't know this sister, but I'm quite sure if we sat down and talked and she peeled back the onion, it came from trauma, man. So, sister, if you listening out there and you see this video later on, don't ever call yourself stupid no more. You're not stupid. You just hurt. Sometimes we just dealt a crazy hand of cards, man. And you got to try to play the cards that you dealt. But sometimes the deck be stacked. But the beauty of this is you can come to the other side of it through turning your life over to God and following Christ. You can get to the other side of this and you could become an example. Because all you're doing is building a testimony. But you got two things to do, like I always say with this story. You're either going to use it, you're going to get past it and use it to help others, or you're going to continue to use it as an excuse to destroy yourself, man. You know what I'm saying? And then we sit around and we argue, and then we keep asking ourselves, why can't this work? What are we doing wrong? This and that. Nah, it ain't that. It's because you both are wounded and you need the help to get to where you need to get at, man. Proverbs 13:24. He that spared his rod hated his son, but he that loveth him chastiseth him betimes. Now listen, this comes from if you don't have the parents there to chastise you and help you get older. So sometimes we have too much freedom growing up. The parents not there, they always at work, or they might have been on drugs or this or that going on. I'm not tying this to either one of these people because I don't know their upbringing. I'm just talking about the trauma bonding. So then the child has all of this freedom and they're not getting chastised. They're running wild. The lack of structure, that's trauma too. Because now when you get in a relationship, you're going to be used to running, going here, doing this. You're not going to be used to being in a sound house, sitting down, having dinner together, functioning like two functioning adults that's healthy. No, we always got to escape. We got to go to the next party. We got to go to where they drink and where they turning up at. We constantly need the dopamine over and over and over and over again. Because when we sitting alone too much with ourselves, we might start reflecting on that trauma. And we got to be there dealing with ourselves. One of the toughest things is to sit and really deal with yourself. So we want to escape. So how oftentimes when I'm talking to the clients, especially adult clients, and they tell me all the different things they did, even sometimes some of the kids, and I ask them how long they was getting high, how long they was getting drunk. And they tell me, even for myself, from 18 to 44, I was never sober for like a long period of time. Then I asked them, what was wrong with being you? And they say, what you mean? Why did you have to put something in your body to take you out of who you are? What's wrong with being you? Because being to that person, they're going to have to deal with the past. They're going to have to deal with that trauma, and it hurts. So I got to escape because I can't deal with it. And what's better than escaping and being with somebody who understands me that went through the same thing? So at first it seemed like y'all tight. Y'all clicked up. Everything is good. And then that trauma starts to come out. You know how when you go to the beach and you push those beach balls down in the water and they keep popping up? That's how that trauma starts to come up. And then y'all start fighting about the trauma, going through it. And then y'all make up and get back together. And then that trauma starts coming up again. It never goes away. So when I'm listening to both of these people talk yesterday, and both of them describing their relationships, that's what was happening. That's what was happening, man. So that's how we got to look at it. Next one. Children often repeat what they witness. Ezekiel 16:44. Behold, everyone that uses a proverb shall use a proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter. We're going to see what's going on, and we repeat the cycles over and over again. If you growing up in the house and you saw your mom, and like I said, I don't know this young lady, I don't know. I'm just talking in general how we are. And you saw your mom yelling and screaming and being like that towards men or talking about men, that's what you're gonna do. If it says boys who watch abusive fathers may believe dominance equals manhood. Girls who witness abusive relationship may come to view mistreatment as normal. Children raised in unstable homes may feel uncomfortable in peaceful relationships because chaos is family. So when you sitting around and you see all of this going on, this and that, and then you get into a regular relationship and you sit in the house and there's nothing going on, it's boring. And you're like, yo, why you can't just sit down and chill and read a book? Because it was always chaos going on in my house. My house where I grew up was a little different. It wasn't really no communication like that. So when I'm in the house, a lot of times it's hard for me to really keep talking to somebody, because it wasn't really that much communication going on in my house. So that's another form of it. Communication is healthy. So now when we sitting down on them first dates, we need to really ask about how somebody was raised. What was going on with you? How is your family? What's your relationship with your father? What's your relationship with your mother? Instead of looking at them trying to see how imagine how it's going to be physically once we finally get to that point. And then once you do it physically, in many situations, a soul tie might come. Now you in a situation and you like, yo. Then when the trauma come, you like, how did we get there? Because we never did no homework with each other. We never sat down and talked. We never really courted. We just used each other to escape. And we trauma bonded. Trauma bonded. Let's go to those characteristics again. It says boys who watch abusive fathers may believe dominance equals manhood. Girls who witness abusive relationships may come to view mistreatment as normal. Children raised in unstable homes may feel uncomfortable in peaceful relationships because chaos is familiar, man. Chaos is familiar, man. Example, Samson. Samson repeatedly pursued Delilah despite her betrayal. Whew. Delilah manipulated him, pressured him, sought his destruction, and he kept going back to her, man. Eventually, his emotional attachment cost him his strength, his eyesight, and his freedom, man. Samson was out here wilding. He was knocking off this chick, that chick, this chick, that chick, doing all of this stuff, man. That lust of the flesh was on him. And then he got with Delilah. Now I want to go back and do some research, see if they got any other books that talk about Samson and his childhood to see if we can uncover, was there some trauma down there that caused Samson to have this kind of attitude to keep dealing with Delilah, knowing she was trying to take him out, man. Knowing she was trying to take him out. What make you keep going back? The self-esteem be low. Why the self-esteem low? But then we got to get to the point of healing. Why was Ahab letting Jezebel just talk to him like that and control everything that he had going on? Why, man? When Nabal refused to sell this vineyard, Ahab sold. Jezebel manipulated the situation. Nahab was falsely accused and killed. She got this joker to go out and kill somebody, man. We got to get to the point to understanding that we have to go get the help ourselves. So now we got to get to solutions, man. Solutions of the situation. What can we do? What can we do to get the help? First, what I did with myself, I had to do an inventory of my life, man. I had to be real about who I was first. And I always talk about this, saying that I've been in 2 other marriages before the marriage that I have right now. Yet, nobody on here would be able to know what either my first 2 wives did wrong to me or in that kind of situation. You get what I'm saying? I would never embarrass them on social media, talk about them, this and that, because the importance of it is, if I concentrate on what they did, how does that help me get better? I needed to know what was wrong with me. So for the solutions in these situations, the person has to stop and look in the mirror and say, what's wrong with me? Not pointing at that other person saying, they doing this, they doing that. Why am I still here? Why am I allowing this to happen? Why am I demonstrating these kind of characteristics that destroy relationships? And why am I accepting those characteristics that destroys relationships? Why am I doing that? And once you evaluate yourself, if you're honest and you get to the point, then you go get the help, man. Tackle those issues that you keep running away from. Follow Christ. Turn your life over. Don't go to all of these places where you know it's going to be filled with a bunch of people that got trauma and everybody's trying to escape, because it's going to keep you in the same mix. It's going to keep you in the same mix. When I used to go out and party and this, blah, 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 and you meeting people, and then you had those one night stands, when you really think about it, a person really had to be going through a lot of trauma to not even know you and just take you home and have sex with you. Just being 100 with you. Don't think you're that special. There's some trauma behind that, because there's no self-respect. And I was guilty of that over and over and over and over again. But it has to be some trauma with that, because the self-respect is not there. So in terms of the healing, we first have to look at ourselves and analyze ourselves. Then get somebody to help you look at what's going on with you and pinpoint those sore points where you could go get the help and you could start to rebuild yourself. And if you have interest in somebody like that, keep it in the court and point and have them go do the same thing. Demand that they go out and analyze themselves and get the help too, man. Put God in the midst, but also understand this too. When both of y'all get the help, don't be surprised if y'all might not even like each other, because it was all built on that trauma bonding. Not saying that that situation is going to happen like that all the time, but I'm telling you, man, we got to get the help, man. In our communities, we got to start looking at things from these kind of standpoints. Don't look at somebody from the beginning and say to yourself, why is this person like this? Why is this person like that? Why are they so stupid and this, blah, blah, blah. Start asking yourself, when you're looking at them, look at them from eyes of empathy and say, I wonder what that person been through, man. I wonder what that person been through, man. We always, we often growing up, we often, as boys, men, we always teased girls that might have been promiscuous. You saw the different boys going to their houses. Every day a different boy over there. This and that boys going in and out. We saw in school how they was acting and this, blah, blah, blah. But it never dawned on us to go back and ask, why is she like this? We saw guys that were over aggressive, abusive in relationships, this and this, blah, blah, blah. We talked about him, said he's a woman beater, this and this, blah, blah, blah. But we never asked ourselves, where did he get this from? Why do we think this is normal? Why do we think this is okay? Trauma, man. Trauma. Trauma, man. That's what this stuff comes from. Trauma building. Trauma bonding relationships, man. So I pray that this brother and this sister, man, take some time off to do the work within themselves to get themselves better. Because I'm assuming, I think he said she has sons, and I know I think he has a daughter. Because y'all got to show them how to do something different. Because you don't want the thing to keep carrying on and on and on and on and on. And I pray that both of them receive this message if it's shown to them out of love, man, because that's where it's coming from. Because right now y'all wounded and we don't shoot our wounded, man. We don't kill our wounded. We lift them up. We lift them up and let them know that there's hope on the other side of this. People had their fun with this. You see the comedians, people laughed and joked about this, but this is a serious matter that many other people can learn from also. Because just like he was saying yesterday, which was 1,000% on point, look at your situation. Most of the situations you guys are into are in trauma bonded situations. Look at those kids that you produced, that the fathers is not there no more. Most of them situations was trauma bonded situations. So we got to look at ourselves too. So this is Mike. Enjoy the rest of your Sabbath. Shalom.